Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Well, we've heard the stories over the years. I know many of you have, how politicians in this country wanted to replace us. And it's true. And they made several attempts to do it, but because they were trying to do something evil, the Most High never allowed them to be fully successful at trying to replace us. So you're going to hear a gentleman that did some research and found out they have been trying to replace us as far back as the early 60s. During the civil rights movement, they felt that the Negroes in this country were too out of control to be governed. So they were bringing over Africans to replace us. They were trying to replace middle class Negroes back then with Africans. And they went as far as giving, and Lyndon Johnson, by the way, the one that signed the Civil Rights Bill, he was in on this too. And they brought Africans over on a ship and they got them everything. They got a monthly stipend. They were able to get free education. They were able to get, and that's why they always say they're educated. And yeah, they are. But what they failed to tell you is the US played a big role in getting them educated. Now, when they came over here, y'all, they didn't have no big educations coming over here from Africa back in the 60s. They didn't. They didn't have that back in the 60s. But when they got over here in the land, okay, they were able to go to college and get an education. But they did not come over here with that education at all. And they got a monthly stipend. They got a free new car. They got homes, free homes. They gave them everything, literally gave them everything, right? And our people are out in the streets fighting to be recognized as a human being. And in the background, they were bringing all these Africans over and throwing all kinds of money and education and everything at them. Am I shocked? No, because this is what a devil does. But, ladies and gentlemen, it was both the right and the left, the Democrats and Republicans that were both in on this whole thing. And I really believe, see, we always talk the Democrats, 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 but you can best believe the Republicans are in on all of this immigration stuff too. They just get in front of the cameras talking against it, but I don't really believe they are that much against it, because if they were, I want y'all to think about one thing. These white farmers overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. They are Republicans and they had all of those illegals working their farms. That's why I'm saying Republicans talk a good game, but they're not against immigration, y'all. They got these people, these immigrants, as babysitters, housekeepers, people that are doing their lawns and upkeeping their homes and stuff. They're not that much against it. They just get in front of the cameras and they sound like Donald Trump. But behind the scenes, they got these immigrants all around. Even down there in Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump won't hire an American from Mar-a-Lago. You can look this up. Every employee that works in Mar-a-Lago, they are immigrants. That's all he got that works. You can look this up yourself. I'm telling you the truth. Donald Trump got a bunch of immigrants working at Mar-a-Lago. All right. So the Republicans are not as against it as they're trying to make it seem. The Republicans are the big business owners out here with all of these illegals that are hired as employees. So don't believe the hype because some of these people get on videos and act like, oh, the Republicans are against it, but the Democrats is for it. Trust me, they're both for it. Both of them are for it. All right, so let's get started. Don't forget that the shampoo is for sale starting tomorrow at all of my stores, Shopify, TikTok, and also Etsy. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
I wanted to make this video of kind of a quick rant on some things that I found while doing research for my other immigrant video. Now, we know the Democrat Party has been trying forever to replace Black Americans with immigrants, but they were doing it all the way back before the Civil Rights Movement, but they expanded it during the Civil Rights Movement. I know we are very critical on Hispanic and Latino immigrants, but one group we do not touch is the Africans. All right. When our people or Black Americans were fighting in them streets during the civil rights movement for rights, for economic resources, when our HBCUs were fighting for scraps, our US government, led by Lyndon B. Johnson, was sending hundreds of millions of dollars to Africa to bring them here. In 1962, there were still African nations coming into the United States on a ship, not with chains. They were looking like this. Let's bring up the photo. I want you guys to really look at this picture because I know many of you have heard that, typically probably from the older Africans, that they came here with nothing, right? They came here with scraps and just whatever they had in their pocket. Well, look at this. This is a ship coming from Africa to New York in 1962. Yes. And I really want you to look at this. Does this look like poor people?
Okay, y'all. This ship is not just an ordinary ship. This ship is a cruise liner, like a cruise ship with cabins and beds and all that stuff. That's what this is. It's a cruise ship. And if you look at the Africans, everybody got suits on. The women got dresses with hats on their head. That's how they're coming over here. They're dressed to the nines. You know why? Because Lyndon Johnson sent millions of dollars over there for them to get new clothes and new shoes and all kinds of things before they came over here. That's why they were so well dressed on this ship. This literally is a cruise ship. And that's how they came over here from Africa. The goal was to replace us because they were upset. This government was upset with us for protesting in the streets over the civil rights movement. We were supposed to be quiet, good Negroes, never asking for anything. How dare us ask for something? So they were looking to replace us. Let's go on.
They have suits, ties, jackets, briefcases, nice glasses. And for the most part, they're standing right next to white people. Though in the United States, Black Americans were not standing this close to white people because of segregation. Okay. Let's go to this next photo. Look at this. Look how poor they were, y'all. They call this poor right here. They call this scraps. Nice clothes, right? Briefcase. Look like they have some maps or something like that. Jackets. Don't look nothing like Black Americans, but here they are. Next. Look at that. Next. Oh, wow. Inside of a home with white people, drinking tea, having a good time during segregated America, when our people were out there fighting for their rights. Lyndon B. Johnson and the Democrat Party was under a lot of pressure by Black Americans. Black Americans started to really despise the Democrat Party. And when Martin Luther King was assassinated, things really turned up in this country. And Lyndon B. Johnson and the Democrat Party had a decision to make, and that decision was we now going to help Black America economically from their demands that they have about slavery and Jim Crow? And instead of them pumping that money into Black America, they pumped it into Africa. They said that Black Americans had become ungovernable. They have become too radical. So they wanted to go get a new, safe Black person who was manageable and docile. I want to bring up a few of these companies before I close out, y'all. Well, institutions, I'm sorry. And Africans, I need y'all to understand this is not no hate to y'all, bro. Y'all be quick to say people hating. This is not hate. This is a part of history, and this is a big reason as to why y'all are here. One of these institutions was called the African American Institute, and they actually changed their name back to the Africa American Institute. And the thing about this, y'all, this thing was founded way before they reclassified the American Negro to African American, meaning they already had a distinction between us and them. During a 25-year period, the African American Institute, or the AAI, received over $135 million, which is more than $1 billion of American taxpayers' dollars. Okay? This money was specifically designated for scholarships, visitor programs, and educational infrastructure for Africans, not Black Americans. Another one we have here was called the ASPAU, or the African Scholarship Program of American Universities. This was launched in 1961, y'all. And like I told you, HBCUs were struggling and fighting to get government funding. USAID pumped millions of dollars to bring Africans into this country, into United States universities. Our Democrat government, they paid for these people's living expenses. They gave them monthly stipends, purchased cars. And not only did they put them in regular universities, they put them inside of Ivy League schools such as Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and gave them full tuition paid for. Last one I have here. They actually had a Cold War budget. It was being operated by President Kennedy as well as LBJ, but LBJ ramped this thing all the way up once Kennedy was gone. They say it was so-called to fight against communism, y'all. This is what they said. They wanted to fight against the Soviets. They were spending $20 to $30 million a year, which is more than $200 million a year now, specifically for African educational aid and exchange programs. So while the Democrat Party told you they did not have money for what we would say now is reparations, they were giving it to Africa. And when these, and not all Africans, all right, when some of these Africans are saying that they are the most educated, they are the doctors, lawyers, engineers, y'all, this was done by design. Oh, man. But we have a real deep video coming in on this, y'all. I just wanted to stop in here and give this one. Let me know if y'all knew about these different funds that was going on. Let me know if you knew that these people were still coming here on ships in 1962. I'll see you guys on the next one.
You think they filled out all that paperwork, sucked up to all those good white people, took that long ass flight out here, took off those sandals and put on shoes just to fight white supremacy? Nah, they came out here to replace us. They came out here to replace black Americans. Even if they don't consciously realize it, that's what's going on. They're trying to replace us. But the problem is these Africans and these Caribbeans don't have the same soul that we have. They don't have the same vibe that we have. They don't have the talent that we have. So the white man may be trying to replace us, but it's only going to bite him in his flat ass. The last thing on the Africans' mind is to fight white supremacy. They're just happy to be in America. They're just happy to be in a place where constant running water. They're just happy to be in a place where you can make good money.
I want you guys to really look at this picture because I know many of you have heard that typically probably from the older Africans that they came here with nothing, right? They came here with scraps and just whatever they had in their pocket. Well, look at this. This is a ship coming from Africa to New York in 1962. Yes. And I really want you to look at this. Does this look like poor people? They have suits, ties, jackets, briefcases, nice glasses. And for the most part, they're standing right next to white people.
Now, I want to pause this brother right quick because now he's itching on my conspiracy theory that I've always had. Because my conspiracy theory is that our real enemy, I know it ain't no conspiracy theory, our real enemy is not white. Our real enemy is melanated. Period, point blank. I know it's hard for some to swallow, but it's the truth. They are acting as enemies, talking about the clear people, but our actual enemy is melanated like us. Now, my conspiracy theory has always been that the clear people take to certain Africans so much because there's something under the table that we don't know about, meaning there's a relationship there that we are not privy to.
Hey, Black Americans, how y'all doing? I want y'all to say hi to Howard University's graduating class of 1965. And to the Africans who don't know, this is a historically Black college. So we made one of the biggest mistakes in 1965, and that was fighting to allow Africans access to America. Because as we can see today, they are ungrateful, they are untrustworthy, and they clearly just don't like us and feel like we're uneducated. I don't know where they get this stuff from. The numbers don't show the same. It doesn't show that they have more money than us, more degrees than us, but hey, go for it. Now, another thing that I want to point out to you guys is during this time period, when we wanted Africans here, it was for unity, unification to support us in the fight for equality. Africans came in competition, and they are still in competition with Black America. But we will correct our misjudgment and match their energy, as we will not support them.
Well, they can't replace us, y'all, because it's way more of us in the land than there are Africans. If we literally sat out every single race and just Africans voted, Democrats would never win ever again. And they know it. They know it. They would never, ever win an election because there are not enough Africans in this country to replace us. It's just not that many. Okay. And number two, yeah, they probably do want to dump us off probably for a long, long time, but they really can't fully do it. But you know what? That makes me reflect upon the Most High. The Most High would not let them get rid of us and then try to destroy, because that would have been the next step. If they could replace us, the next step would have been trying to completely destroy us. And they never could pull it off. And as you can see, they're getting these Africans out of here now. And I think they see the writing on the wall. The Africans are not the answer as far as replacing us. Now I can understand where they get that, oh, they like us better than they like you. When you start looking at this history, now it makes sense that they would say it. They got brought over here. that, it just looking at how well dressed they were on the ship, they got money before they even came here. It said Lyndon B. Johnson was sending hundreds of millions of dollars over to Africa. That's why they were so well dressed coming here. They got money before they got here. So all this, oh, we came with $2 and this happened. That's a load of BS. What you gonna do with $1? What you gonna do with $2? You can't get a hotel room. You can't buy yourself food. You couldn't buy clothes. So nah, that's a load of BS. So anyway, y'all, they tried again throwing money instead of giving hundreds of millions of dollars to us that could have used it coming out of Jim Crow. They gave that money to Africans. And you heard they got a free trip over here, a monthly stipend, a free education paid for by the government, a free home, living arrangements, a free car, brand new car, from what I understand, free brand new cars. They gave them everything. But at the end of the day, they still didn't replace us fully. They can't. There's not enough of them. They can't. So, yeah, I mean, if you look at a past like that, yeah, it would appear, oh, yeah, they like us better than they like you. Yeah, but that's not really the case now. That's why ICE is rounding you Africans up. And I see they have shut down quite a few of your African braid shops are now gone. They're not up and running anymore. So, nah, you might have had it like that, especially, during the civil rights movement, but you absolutely don't have it like that now. Mm-mm. Yeah, yeah. I don't even listen to them when it comes down to delineation and all that. We need to come together. You ain't want to come together with us since you've been here. Get out of here. You only want to do it because now you feel like we're rejecting you. See, as long as they were rejecting us, it was all cool. But see, now we are rejecting all of these other groups and they don't like it. They don't like it. So now we need to come together. No, no, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't. But me, I don't trust no political party. And y'all remember, when you look at the climate of the country in 62, it didn't matter which party you were for. They were both equally racist, just like they are today. It doesn't make any difference. But just knowing that, you know, y'all need to give us our reparations and stop effing around. That's what you need to do. It's almost like every single year we're finding out about some group you helped, some group you threw money at, some group you brought over here and gave money, like the Ukrainians. Okay, now we're finding out about the Africans and we know about the Latinos. Every year we're finding out about some group you done gave hundreds of millions of dollars to. Stop effing around and give us our reparations. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be my last um, live for today. But I have some good lineups for tomorrow, so I hope to see you. I just got to get working on the orders for tomorrow so they can go out first thing tomorrow morning. So, as long as I get your order in by midnight, it will go out tomorrow. So, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, and I will see you all tomorrow. Shalom, family.